Hello, hello, hello. Oops, click. All right, so second lecture of this little project I'm doing, and this one's gonna be called Game Plan and Analysis. So the goal of this one is because this was like the target one of the problems I had uh, outlined in the first lecture, where there's only me, Froggy, and Chris, and that's basically two foxes and a puff. Can't cover everything, so unfortunately, quite a lot of the work is going to be for other matchups. Will be gonna have to be done by yourselves. Mint has a pretty damn good Marth as well. That's another third option, but and he has a pretty solid Peach. I haven't seen his Peach in a long time, but we're still having a lot of gaps still, just uh, within the three of us, and this is me wanting to try and target that. So, game plan. What is a game plan? So, a game plan is basically your go-to strategy for a matchup. It's going to be very generic, and that's its intention, is to be generic. Sure, characters are going to be different players will have different styles, but use the same character. Sure, you might have this lamest, campiest Falco of all time, or you can go against the most aggro, fling himself at you, kind of Falco. But either way, you still have to learn how to deal with lasers. It's so fundamental of that matchup is how do you deal with lasers, and it doesn't matter what kind of laser he's throwing at you. You need to be prepared for it. And the answer to that is usually something generic. Power shield, um, maybe you're a character with a really low crouch, you can crouch under it. You might have a crouch that has like for example, Marth, your power shield is above your crouching animation, so you can power shield it very easily, except maybe the very, very low lasers. But you're still, like I said, it's gonna your answer to lasers is going to be the same for no matter what style of Falco you're playing against. So a game plan is also a fundamental, foundational summary of what you want to achieve and what you want to be wary of your opponent. Um, Once a generalized game plan is established, then we can get to specifics. Really get into the meat and bones of matchups. That'll be the focus of the next lecture, which we'll be talking about some really interesting concepts and ideas. And this will be a good time to be maintaining your notepad or your Word document that you were using for your personal Bible exercise. I hope everyone's done that, or at least attempted a little bit of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Tee. I know Convey and Josh have done. Convey's was really interesting, and Josh's one was also really well thought out. Um, and for a good game plan, I have two examples here. One is as every Puff main would know, the Melee Puff Bible. Um, has a great. I think his way of doing putting his game plan for matchups only covers the top seven. Mind, there's no Ices, there's no Samus, there's no Yoshi, etc. So in some ways, even its scope is limited. Um, but the whole idea is that summary, a couple of like maybe like a paragraph or two at most, maybe some idea, more character specific stuff, and then combos towards the end. But I think that thing is actually quite good. Don't know why I opened Discord. So that section. Where's the slide? The other example I wanted to show which is a little bit less structured as Alex's one, but I thought it was a really good one. Was this comes from this slide? I'll be putting all the I won't be won't be giving you the time to read it all here. You can read it in your own time after I uploaded the YouTube video or post a slide link to the slides. But this is from a conversation me and Turkendorf had a little while ago. We were actually spent a little bit of time looking at uh, Ganon Puff, and one specific set was Mac versus Michael. I thought that would have been a really good one to do, and I thought the conversation was very fruitful. And then so we were kind of like theory crafting it, and then we just be like, okay, is there anything in the Ganon Discord just to compare what we were thinking about? And this is Locks from the Ganon Discord's notes on this matchup, and it seemed to basically almost line one to what we were discussing uh, from the set, and which was quite eerie, but at the same time, a lot of what happened here in front of us happened within that set with Michael and Mac, which is very interesting. So I think there is certainly some merit, quite a lot of merit actually, to this kind of game plan. But I think it could be structured a little bit more. It almost has a kind of free flowing aspect to it. Whereas I think what we want to do is really get this quite structured. So, how do we create our own game plans? So, firstly, we need to know, of course, what our own character strengths and weaknesses are. Sorry, taking a sip. So, um, we need to be very intimately involved with our knowledge of what our character can do and what our character can't do. It would be worth having a wee nosy on, like, for example, SSB Wiki, just to see if they have like strength and weaknesses section. I would imagine just detailing certain aspects of the character. Um, Maybe not in particular detail, but at least it would be nice just to get a refresh on it every now and again. And then we also, once we know our own character strengths and weaknesses, we should also think about what is the character that we want to look at. What is their strengths and weaknesses, and how do they interact with our own? So, how do we create our own game plans from scratch? The best way to do it is just watch high level FODs. Pretty, quite simple. Like, think about they clearly they're the best of the best because they really thought about why they're doing the things that they're doing, and the stuff that they're doing has been pressure tested a lot between multiple different players, multiple different styles, and through years and years of experience. So having a rough idea of how they operate is definitely a very good first step. What are the most reoccurring situations? What are the ones that just keep reoccurring, both good and bad, for your character? The ones that are good, we want to find ways of recreating them, because the more winning situations that you have, the more likely you're going to win in the long term. And then the bad situations for our characters, we also need to think about how how do we avoid these situations if possible, and two, how do we mitigate these situations? How do we escape from them and look to try and get out as unscathed as possible? With There will be some reoccurring situations which will be very ambiguous who actually has the advantage. The of the main ones I can think of is if I just scroll up a tiny little bit, if I can actually find it. Probably should have figured out what page it is in the Melly Puff Bible. Ah, here we go. One that's quite ambiguous. Oh, it's really small. Is this one here. And this one's going to appear a lot in if you're a Fox main or a Puff main in this matchup. This is much more ambiguous than you think of who actually has the clear advantage. But it's so prominent that we also need to know what to do when this happens. So, of course, just theorize. Uh, Even these ambiguous situations, because if they are going to pop up often, we need to figure out what to do from them. So, how does it? How does the change in percents change the dynamic of the
Could you mute
situation?
yourself?
What? Oh, someone eating their mic.
Yeah.
um. So theorize who has the advantage. Just making sure I'm still recording. Uh, Theorize who has the advantage. How does a change in percents change the dynamic of the situation? Those would be we're thinking more about not potential knockdown percents and crouch cancel percents. A common one to think about that is situations of involving the corner. Um, some option, sometimes you'll be wanting to play more defensively if you're at a high percent and your opponent's at a low percent. And then you might have a good reason to be more aggressive if the percents were swapped, where you're at low and the opponent's high, etc. So percents change a whole lot of potential intentions and reasonings for doing certain actions over others, and why do these situations occur, of course. We'll be talking about how and why very soon because they are fundamental questions when we are analyzing. So, exercise 2, I'm expanding on the first exercise of the melee, like the your own personal Smash Bible. So, in your notepad or Word document that you've done your Smash Bible exercise, use about 2 to 3 pages for each matchup. And the best way to do it is, like I said, let's copy what. Let's use what works, and I think Alex's uh, structure works really damn well. Subheadings: summary, character specific traits, edge guards, and combos. So the summary, I would say, is write down no more than 2 paragraphs. What do you want to aim for in this matchup? Keep it really concise. What are you trying to achieve? Might have a little bit of how, but keep it concise. The more specific stuff comes from the next point, which is the character specific traits. How do you deal with options unique to that particular character? For example, some characters might have multiple different tools. Sheik is a notable one. How do you deal with jump? How do you deal with needles? How do you deal with tilts, etc., etc.? Um, and you'll need to just create a list and figure out what is your best tool to deal with these certain situations. We also talked about at the very start another obvious character specific trait, which is Falco's lasers. What is your counterplay to lasers? And that'll be quite an easy one because some characters will be quite limited in doing so. And then some characters like Puff has a million different ways of how to deal with lasers. But um, just knowing, just having it clearly in front of you, what do you do about laser, is going to at least you're gonna give yourself a lot more certainty with what you're meant to do, as opposed to be like, oh, I think I'm meant to power shield here, but there is some spacing. I'm power shield might get me hit, etc. We really want to make sure that everything is, we know exactly what to do. Then the third one is edge guarding. Um, I didn't write it in the slide. I'm kind of kicking myself for it, but potential ledge trapping as well. Some character, which is going to be quite important for some of the slower casts like Peach and Puff. But edge guards and ledge trapping. How do you edge guard your opponent's character? Unlike the first two aspects, this would be best done by your own like doing research, like going on your uh, character's Discord, figure out what the best way of edge guarding. The same applies to combos. This is all very rudimentary stuff, like which is more to do with execution. I just, for those two sections, be my guest. Just steal whatever you can from combo videos and Discord. For the purpose of this exercise, the summary and the character specific traits, I want you to try and do this basically through your own understanding initially. The whole idea is try and get you to actively think about the matchups as opposed to just take the advice verbatim and play along with that. So, which is not what we want to do with these lectures. We want a lot more. We want to really get the gears grinding in your head to be like, what can I do, and really get yourself your own develop your own learning within the game. So yeah, pick a character, maybe one that you have a problem with, and watch numerous top level sets, and just how does your character win. That'll be a good way of creating a summary. Uh, and then start breaking it down the character specific stuff afterwards. Uh, like I said in the last slide, note the knockdown percent and break CC percents of any important moves. For Puff, if your character that you're using or the character you're facing is Puff, uh, back air, up air uh, would be the two most important moves in your disposal. Down air, the knockdown percent of down air is also going to be a crucial percent. So there's three super important moves just to have against Puff. And note if the, how does certain interactions change just purely from the percent? How does the knockdown percent and the brick CC percent change the game plan? Um, I know I'm bringing up Puff a lot, but that, of course, that's the character I use. So, for example, Puff versus Fox below 40 is a rough time, and Puff, well, yeah, Fox below 40% in the Puff Fox matchup is very difficult for Puff, and once she gets Fox to over 40% is when a lot more options open up. And the reason for that is because back air knocks down. It's roughly around 37%, I think, fresh, but there's no way in hell Puff is getting to 40 without stealing the back air, you know? So like I said, there's going to be that's going to happen with other matchups outside of Fox Puff. Every matchup, so many matchups open up character like ugh, sorry, getting the words mixed up here. So many characters will their game plans will really open up above a certain percent threshold, and that's what we're looking to aim for with this point here. And like I said, well, yeah, with this exercise, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is more, like I said, get users to actively think about matchups. Um, Once you create your own summary and looking into how to deal with some character specific traits, you can then look at other people's game plans, or if there's a game plan in a character Discord, and then you can then compare what you've written with what they've written, how much of that, and then test both of them out. See what works, see what doesn't. Is there anything that needs to be changed, both within your experience or from someone else's game plan? But it's all just be very critical about it's just be like have a proper like be very I'm trying to think of the right word here. I guess take a logician's knife and just cut out any of the flab and keep everything that's good and airtight. That is the kind of goal that we want to do with our game plans. So now I want to cover about the two most important questions about analyzing, which is how and why. So it is an easy it is easy to only think about what happened in analyze when we're looking at sets. What happened? Oh, Puff got forward smash in neutral, but that doesn't tell us anything except that Puff got forward smash in neutral. How and why is what is the real crux of things. So they are quite similar, but the answers will end up quite different, at least for our purposes. I would say the how is looking for a mechanical explanation of something, and the why seeks the reasoning behind something. And if we must simplify it, might be an oversimplification, but I think it holds true is the how concerns with the character interactions, and the why concerns with the players missing apostrophe decision making. So now this is when I want to bring up this little clip. So uh, I might turn that. I'm gonna mute this. Mute. All right. It's a bit choppy. I apologize for that. I'm gonna just... So, yep. I apologize for the choppiness. I wasn't. I was hoping it was a bit cleaner. I blame OBS. OBS sucks. But this was from my set with Rena about 3 weeks ago. This was when we were doing the our best of fives. I think this was the first one that I had done in February. Actually, it was a month. Never mind. And this was I can't even remember the game count. It was so long ago, and I've lost my copies of the Slippy files. But of course, yep. The what is Puff gets forward smashed and dies, and like I said, that tells us nothing. Um, just looking at the time, half an hour. Shall I shall I make this a group exercise, or shall we just skip on to what I think happened? This is more for you and this is for you, Froggy and Chris, because
Um,
I'm half an
to be
hour in.
honest, what do you think? I think,
I'm
uh,
I'm
Let me
happy.
just.
I still have time. Like, so it's up to you. Like, I'm happy either way. Honestly,
yeah, I have time. Like,
All right, so leave it to the floor. How did Rena get this forward smash on me, and then why did the forward smash work?
Do you want to just play the clip a few more times? You just have it on repeat
Yep.
as people think about this.
Yeah. I apologize again for the choppiness.
There wasn't really any vertical mix-up on the landing. It was all horizontal.
Yeah, it's that's a good point that I didn't even think about. Yeah, like
Well, the how of it is that it catches a wave dash out of shield. The why is that he doesn't feel, at least in my opinion, he's not scared of doing this F smash because you're not like when he does it, there's no real risk of the puff being so close that she can to a deadly level punish the F smash out of shield. Yeah,
yeah.
the risk reward here is massively in Rena's favor for throwing this out.
Yeah, even if it didn't kill, it still like builds good percent on Puff.
Like the
Mm-hmm.
only thing Puff could do here before Rena S smash is the wave dash in, and even if that's CC'd at this percent, it's perfectly fine for Rena.
Mm-hmm.
And also with what Bev said with the horizontal mix-up, that Puff lands in the corner is a big part of it.
Yeah, no platforms.
Yeah, obviously, like, I don't think he would have gone for this if it wasn't, if Puff, like, if he didn't have so much stage behind him, and if Puff didn't have, like, no stage behind her, he feels comfortable, like, this F smash relatively covers so much of what little level Puff has left.
Yeah, Puff can approach from that angle without just jumping into it. It is only like reverse or go up, and Rena moves slightly in to cover the and run away.
Yeah, this is all like really good stuff. But yeah, if I shall go on to my own interpretation of it, so yeah, Bev made a really good point that I didn't consider, but purely horizontal spacing. But my own interpretation was Rena performs an aggressive poke on Puff landing in the corner, limited escape options for Puff to avoid even with access to shield. Because what would happen is, like, what if I shielded? There's also the possibility that I get grabbed at 106. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. I can just DI away and miss a four. I can miss the forward smash after. But I'm still on FD at high percent. There's not really much safe option for me to recover back on stage into a decent position. I have to do a lot of aerial mix ups after the fourth throw and hope I get through the down tilt to grab the ledge, or go really high and hope I can avoid an up tilt or a Randy forward smash on the way down again. So it's a really bad position for Puff for me, and I would say the why was yes, quite a few users covered the risk reward aspect. Um, there was very good reason for Arena to throw out a forward smash when I'm at 105 and I'm playing like I'm at low percent with the wave dash back. Um, I was tunnel visioning really hard on a specific because that spacing that was present. I got a kill on Rena that same game. It wasn't in the corner mine, but that same spacing roughly uh was the spacing that Rena short hop nared into me, and I just arrested him, killed him on the spot, and I was just tunnel visioning on a whiff punish, on a very particular whiff punish, and I just did not even consider the forward smash to happen, which is a bit of a boo boo to me, I must admit. But sometimes things like that just happen. So that uh that covers that little clip. Rena did something good. You have no reason to fear, Rena. If I ever use a clip, I will always use clips of me looking foolish. So, um, once we have I know this is a lot of homework to do, but this is more just stuff to do. Like, these exercises are not really intended to be like, oh, I need you to do this immediately. This is more stuff like, this is stuff to build over time. Even the Smash Bible stuff is, I'm not expecting it to be completed in a week. It's going, all this stuff is all evolving. There are always going to be changes over time, and it's more important for you to at least get started on the work as opposed to try and cram everything in a time frame. But the sooner you get this stuff done, the better, because then you'll be well prepped, and your own improvement. I don't want to use the word improvement, but I guess it makes sense to use your own. How you develop as a player is going to just skyrocket the sooner that you get it done. So this third exercise is just a simple analysis. I like throwing this out for people who are not quite used to doing their own analysis. So let's maybe take a set or a game, maybe from the one that you were having a wee look at, from for the previous exercise 2, and just focus specifically on that one set or game. Uh, and I ideally want one that they have a pretty solid lead. I don't want them to lose the set, and I don't want it close, and I don't. It's like that weird middle ground where it's like I want it to be competitive but not close, if that makes sense. Like a decent 3-1
3-0.
victory. Yeah, like a 3-0 that goes to last stop, or a 3-1 and it's like a solid 3-1. You know what I mean? Like, think about Sane versus every puff that's not H box, for example. Like, Sane probably would 3-0 SDJ, and SDJ is pretty damn good against Marth. You know what I mean? It is a little specific, but or like a Magi playing someone maybe in the like a earlier on in bracket. You know, like the last stage of pools or winners round 1, for example. Just something where there's a clear skill gap, and the top level player that you're looking at has a comfortable lead, or has a comfortable win, I should say.
Yeah, they have they have the handle in the match. Like they're never really like losing, but there's a game where it could maybe go to last stock or something like that.
Yeah, they're still comfortable. It's a comfortable
Yeah.
win. Just not a blowout. We don't want to. You're not going to learn anything from a blowout. It's a very specific kind of win that we want.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
So using the how and why do they win, and like I said, what are the key situations that keep repeating? That's a crucial thing. What keeps repeating? How do they keep repeating the situations that they want to win in? And then do the same for your own game or set. Ideally one that you lose in a similar fashion, where it's a comfortable loss. Um, how and why did the opponent win? What was look for the differences between the top level player and your own play. Um, and the whole idea is that we wanted to do like a compare and contrast exercise. Compare what is similar, and note what was different. Ideally, keep the language neutral. Um, like I don't want anything to be like, oh, this is like know what works and keep it neutrally, and then if there's stuff that needs change, don't. I would strongly advise in not putting it in terms like this was a bad back air, this is a bad neutral air, etc. I'm really trying to avoid these kinds of negative terms, um, both within my own language and when I'm trying to coach or teach other people things. Is all just try and be and just keep it in strictly what's good and what needs changed. And I would break down these similarities and differences into try and break them into a list, and then break that list down into something that's more into something that is practicable, either outside of the game or even or like any technical execution within the game. Maybe your movements, maybe the movement on platforms is maybe not as tight as the top level player. That's something to look at. That's something to really drill in and practice. Because what we really want from this exercise is stuff that we can practice. And I'll cover that's another idea for a lecture, is how to practice, but that's for another time. So we're coming to the end of this lecture. Couple things just to point out. Your game plans, like I said, should be evolving as you improve. Your game plan, um, maybe you're like kind of player who drowns in pools, for example. You do this exercise of your game to build your own game plan, and then maybe a year or two, like maybe a year in the future, your improving kind of skyrockets or gets to a plateau that's much higher than you ever thought what was possible. You come back to your and you look at your own game plan and you realize it's fair. You might come back to like the base form of it and you think, what a load of crap. This is very outdated, but you're so much better as a player. You can realize what seemed good at the time is actually quite flabbish, and you can cut that out and leave even something that's like super well tight and airtight. Um, so it's all about evolving, um, and taking it as a basically like a launch pad for bigger and greater things, and just keep updating it whenever you have a new idea to test out, or you find a new game plan that's you find a game plan from someone else, or they have some tips of how to improve, test it out. If it works, throw it in your own thing. Just yeah, keep building new ideas of how to improve. Like see, look what has happened with Donkey Kong in the past 2 years. It's crazy, and it was all about just making getting a really good strong punish game and then developing the neutral from that. Like for example, Junebug is amazing because his neutral is really well thought out. Very, it's not quite airtight because if we're looking for perfection, we'll never get perfection, but it's noble to strive for perfection. That's the important thing. A static game plan, I would say, equals stagnation, but a well-tested game plan equals growth. When you've created a list from the previous exercise, prioritize the most important things first. Most likely, that's going to be either movement related or punish related. And it's probably going to be something much more basic than, oh, you must need to do like pivot up tilts or something ridiculously difficult. There is something called the Pareto principle. I think everyone's heard about the 20-80 rule. It exists in different names, but basically 20% of all the work covers 80% of the output, or something like that. Should have looked up what what exactly is the 20-80 principle, but it's something like that, where most of your success comes from the really important stuff, which is very like rudimentary. Once you have your game plan established, it's an excellent habit to play games and sets on netplay with your notes in front of you. Just and in between games, just have a wee juke, be like, okay, how did that last game go? Am I playing to the game plan? Is there something missing in the game plan that's not covering? But it's always your go to. You're treating it as your go to. Be like, if my mentality is going a little bit, my mentality is going to shit, and I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. Just look at the game plan. Nice little reset. Take a couple wee breaths in and just focus back on the process. And hard work will be rewarded over time. And just when I talk about focus on the process, trust the process. I want that fucking tattooed on every one of your foreheads. You know, I want you to look in the mirror and think, trust the process, you know? Super important thing, I can't stress it enough, is trust the process. If you trust the process, success will come, undoubtedly. And this is the high level introductory analysis, and like I said, once you build a foundation, we can get into the really nitty gritty stuff, which I'm really looking forward to doing that next time. But before that, homework. This is something I will want you to do before next lecture. Is read Alex's Puff Stuff article called "Neutral Positioning." I have it in a hyperlink in the slides, but this is such crucial bit of information that I can't little the yeah, this is so crucial for what I want to get into next time, because even Alex said in it for it is that this is kind of this is like the preliminary reading for what he goes on to in an article called Preemptive Play and Counterplay, and that's the nitty gritty thing that I'm really excited to do. And I'm gonna make a lecture specifically on that whole point and how to do preempt like a PEP/CP analysis, which is quite frankly fucking broken. It's so good. I am a big fan of that kind of analysis, and I'm really looking forward to showing you that. But with that, that is the lecture. That was a lot of me talk.
Thank you, Maxi. That was good.
That's class. Thanks so much.
It was
Lovely work.
certainly a lot more intensive than the last one, but I think this is like really crucial. That's like once you start developing your own game plan, it's like as more of a intermediate level player or whatever. It's just you'll the sky's the limit, you know.